and good evening. I'm Melisa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. Across the world, economies are being reshaped by geopolitical shifts, technological disruptions, and the transition to a greener future. Countries that fail to adapt risk being left behind, falling behind, and Malaysia is no exception. A new white paper from the Institute of Capital Market Research warns that while Malaysia aspires to become a high-value, innovation-led economy, outdated economic structures may be holding us back. Now, the question is, can we rethink our approach to growth, investment, competitiveness before it's too late? So to delve into this further, I have with me on the show Tan Sri Andrew Sheng, who is a distinguished fellow at ICMR. He previously served as the chairman of the Securities and Futures Commission of Hong Kong and has held senior roles in Bank Negara Malaysia, including chief economist and assistant governor in charge of bank and insurance regulations. Welcome to the show, Tan Sri Andrew. Good of you to join me. If I may begin our conversation looking at how we see ourselves. Now, Malaysia has long prided ourselves in being a resilient middle-income economy. We have aspirations to be a knowledge-driven nation, but the reality is we are still grappling with wage stagnation. We still have to deal with declining competitiveness, and we have all these new contemporary global pressures. Now, if we were to strip away the official rhetoric, Andrew, where do you think Malaysia really stands today? Are we on the right path or are we falling behind?
When you asked me this question, I asked AI, DeepSeek, and I'll read you the answer because it came out in literally 10 seconds flat.
What did DeepSeek say?
Exactly the answer. DeepSeek is this AI software that came out in January, and it beat ChatGPT because in ChatGPT, it took about 2 months to reach 100 million users. DeepSeek used only 1 month. So the answer to your question was, whilst Malaysia's economic narrative reflects significant achievements and ambitions goal, the reality is that several pressing challenges need to be addressed to ensure sustainable and inclusive growth. Addressing income inequality, reducing dependence on foreign labor, improving education and skills, ensuring political stability, and promoting environmental sustainability are critical for Malaysia to achieve its economic ambitions and maintain its competitive edge in the region.
Okay.
Sounds really tick all the right boxes, right? But the issue here really is this. I think in this complex world, as you introduce, we have what I call deeply shocking geopolitics. Every morning we wake up, President Trump introduces some directives that make us kind of get tennis necks, we're switching here to there. It's changing very fast.
Yeah.
It's very fast. Technology is changing very fast. As I said, the latest AI, DeepSeek, has democratized artificial intelligence because it makes it very cheap, less energy efficient, less energy consumptive, and it's available to almost everybody. Because it's it's what it's called open source. So any Malaysian software developer can adapt a new version of DeepSeek. And then, of course, climate change. We've gone through the hottest summers in the last 6 years. Every summer it's been hotter than the last. And we see the floods in Malaysia as an example of this. So during the pandemic, I asked myself a fundamental question. We've had 70, 80 years of Bretton Woods, post-war, neoliberal, free market, kind of Washington consensus. Where is it going? And the answer is not very good. And in a sense, the rise of Mr. Trump is a rejection of the neoliberal, what I call the Biden neoliberal order, the free market. He's talking about protectionism, tariffs, sanctions, make America great again. In the energy field, in the environmental field, he's abandoned the net zero commitments. In the oil, it's called drill, baby, drill. So, we are in, the rest of the world is in deep shock. Okay. So, basically I felt, look, I used to work at the World Bank, and I felt that maybe we should rethink our model. Because the conventional development model in a free market environment, rules-based, doesn't work when, you can be sanctioned anytime, tariffs can be introduced as a kind of a threat. If you don't follow what I do, I give you a sanction, right? And notice that the sanctions are not just on China, the tariff increases on Canada, on Mexico, where is rule-based when they want to claim Greenland, all that things, right? So the model is now very different. We have to think very differently. In a sense, that model is not unfamiliar. If you go back to the 19th century, the German thinker, Metternich, whose disciple was Henry Kissinger, was all about balance. It's about real power, power rules. It's the Treaty of Westphalia. I don't interfere in you, you don't interfere to me. But I'm going to make myself mercantilist. I'm going to make myself great. And if you don't, then you lose. I mean, that's essentially the old model. So it's very difficult for people to argue against make America great
again, yeah.
And that's MAGA, and the Europeans are now saying make Europe great again, MEGA. So making Malaysia great again is nothing wrong with it. The issue then is, how do we do this? So if we want to do this, I think we need a mindset change. And in our paper, we really said, look, this whole thing is no longer mechanical, no longer linear. It is very organic. It is holistic. We have to use technology, because technology is what is very critical. So we developed what is the T.E.A.M model. T stands for technology, E for ecosystem. Ecosystem, technology is well understood, right? You just apply the latest technology to improve yourself. Because if we have a digital divide and we do not have technology, we will be marginalized. So technology is very critical. The second one is ecosystem. What do we mean by ecosystem? You see, the problem is that you can't grow like a single tree inside a desert. The oasis grows because it's developed an ecosystem within a desert. And you have different plants, different insects, different animals, adapt to the environment. And the whole thing grows together, right? So, if you do it the old style, where you take away this part, you take away that part, suddenly fragile ecosystems literally collapse. That's, if you look at the long history, ecosystems collapse, civilizations collapse, because the people at the top forgot about the people at the bottom, and people do not recognize that they are destroying the forests, destroying the food systems, lost water, no food, no water, no energy, collapse. So we need to go back to a little bit of context, a little bit of history. We have to have values, right? This is why religion is coming back again to a large extent, many parts of the world. And at the same time, we have a holistic view, and that means change is not as simple as there is a silver bullet. One measure you can change the whole system. Not necessarily true. We have to take a holistic approach. We have to approach it from many fronts. That's the T and the E. Then the A is about our assets, and the question is, this came from the tech bubble or the tech miracle, in which 10 tech companies in America created $10 trillion worth of stock market value, right? Now, once they have $10 trillion of value, they can invest $600 billion a year, just these 10 companies, in more technology. So I suddenly realized, you got money, you got, you got tech, then you get money. You get money, then you can invest, so you get talent, and then you get growth. So no money, no tech, no growth, no talent, right? And that model is fairly clear. But how to achieve it is this ecosystem, technology system, and how do we monetize our assets? Now, if you think about Malaysia, we're a very lucky country, right? We live in a time of growth around the world. Of course, we are living in an age of the war of the elephants, Perang Gajah, right? But we are supposed to be, the Sang Kan Chew, right? We're the small country. We need to live with the elephants. Now, as you know, the old saying was, Perang Gajah, when the elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. But if we are nimble, we are wily, and we are, innovative, we will survive. And how do we do this is to, move very, very quickly. So that's, so in a sense, what are our major assets in Malaysia? And the answer is our people are very talented. We have our timing, the age of the great power rivalry is giving Malaysia opportunities. Of course, there are risks, but I see this as opportunities. Secondly, geography, right? We are, not just a member of ASEAN, the fastest growing region in the world, the most, technologically friendly, group of countries in the world, completely neutral, half the size, with roughly 670 million population, half that of China, half that of India, and we have access to both the Indian market, the Chinese market, the Middle East market, the European market, and American market. We are friends with everybody, enemy to none, right? So that's geography is also, because we are also, Malaysia is at least half in charge of the Malacca Straits. So, we are geographically very advantaged. But the third one is really, do we have the human unity to take advantage of this? So what I want to now stress is that everybody, is now stressing ESG. E is about equality, environment, right? Environment is about how people are abusing the planet, abusing Mother Nature. So, the climate change is the warming against us, more natural disasters. So we need to address, carbon emission, etc. And, some people say we got to get to net zero. That's an aspiration. It's a goal. E is a goal. S about social justice, social inequality. That's a goal. What delivers E and S? The answer must be governance, right?
Yes.
And that's the challenge, right? The old model didn't work, and now we get Mr. Trump, right? And increasingly in many Western countries, we are, Europe, etc., more and more far right-wing parties are winning, the elections. So the governance model is very, very critical to us. And I think Malaysia has been very lucky. We are a democratic country, we are a very tolerant country, we are a diverse country, and we have long conversations in order to arrive at this. But, if we get our governance together, we can deliver.
If I may just jump in here, Andrew, the T.E.A.M framework is very attractive. T, technology, ecosystem, asset. The last one, M, mindset.
Yes.
For me, strikes me the most, I think, in terms of whether we have the real mindset for this economic transition to drive real economic change. Your white paper highlights that Malaysia's economic structures are shaped by deeply ingrained mindset of risk aversion. I wanted to talk to you about that. Risk aversion, whether that be in finance, in investment, in policy making, there is this tendency to transfer risk as opposed to going for it.
Yes.
So that may have held us back in terms of growth, in terms of innovation, in terms of resilience, even if I may. If we were to rethink our approach to risk, what would you say are the fundamental mindset shifts that need to happen?
Okay, the mindset is that the old mindset was top-down. The top-down mindset has delivered social inequality, environmental destruction, and basically very not very healthy governance. Now, they approach it in terms of democracy versus autocracy, etc., etc. But ultimately, it's no good having promises without delivery, right? So it really is about aspirations. The people have aspirations, but they also want impact, which means execution, right? So now, then how do we deliver this? Obviously, technology is a tool, right? Ecosystems is a tool, right? It's an aspiration. Governance, how you govern is a mindset issue. Now, why was there free market? Because it was a imperial, hegemonic. Free market means I am free to enter your market, but if you want to enter my market, maybe I'm going to give you tariffs and sanctions, which is exactly what's happening, right? I mean, the European Union has always had very high tariff barriers on the area of food, and it disadvantaged Africa. Okay, so Africa could not, go into that area. And today, the rule of law is broken because, some countries are committing genocide every day on TV, right? So we can, where is that, rule, the international rule that we were talking about? So the issue, the mindset, needs a complete rethink. And as I said, the linear, mechanical, classical Newtonian mindset has shifted to an organic, biological, quantum, entangled mindset. It's far more complex, but how should we think about it? And the answer is back to basic physics. All change is energy. And, why is America going for the 3 arrows, 3% growth, 3% deficit, and 3 million barrels a day, more energy? And the answer is energy drives in technology. Energy you need energy to make Bitcoin cybercurrency. You need energy to have AI.
Yeah.
You need energy for your military power, right? And you need energy, which is electricity that drives all our devices and our lives. So energy is very critical. So energy, whoever, captures energy has also military and political power. And that's why an elite captures this. And America basically captured this, right? And think about this. So the minute you have that kind of understanding, you suddenly realize, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And the answer is, we are a net energy producer in this country. And by the way, Malaysia has got so much natural resources, we are a net lender to the world. We're not a country with a begging bowl saying, please give me aid. We export more than we import. So we have a lot of strengths. So then it comes down to the A side, how do we monetize these assets? And why do we need a risk of, rethink? And this is, again, a little bit technical, but you need to understand. Traditional banking, which is lending, is basically a bell curve. It means if on average, if I lend to all the poor people or the micro, small, medium enterprises, and their average non-performing loans, losses, is 10%, I must charge 10% higher interest rate, which means, as you say, the poorer you are, the more interest I have to charge you. In fact, the more trouble you get into, they charge higher interest.
But that's how risk works, right?
No, this is the risk on the bell curve. Today, with the Nassim Taleb, the black swan, is actually what I call the long tail, right? In Silicon Valley, I am no longer lending to 1,000 enterprises, to make money. I invest in 1,000, and if 999 fails, I don't mind if one of them become a unicorn.
Yes, yes.
And if that one unicorn I make $1 billion, I don't really mind if that 999 fail.
Exactly.
Right? Now, the Silicon mindset is success comes only through failure. You see, a lot of people forget this. Things fail, then somebody succeeds. It's just like a big tree, right? okay, or a field. You know, what is an ecosystem? So many weeds, so many different plants, and a lot of them die. The elephant comes along and stamps on them, the river comes and floods them, but one or two will survive. And that survives eventually becomes a big tree, right? And the big tree gives the shade, you know, and then attract the bees, you know, and attracts the monkeys and the animals, okay? So the ecosystem will survive if the diversity spreads the risks for it, allow it to thrive. And the idea of the traditional thinking was, oh, you know, the more smaller you are, the more I punish you through higher interest rate. AWANI, you know, this is not fair to the world.
Agreed.
Okay? So, and then there is a cyclical issue, which is why I came to this idea when I visited the end of the Silk Road. You know, I visited the Dunhuang caves, where they had these, you know, the travelers across the desert. They were so glad that they survived that they entered into these Buddhist caves to paint these holy drawings. But actually, I saw these camels, and then I asked myself, can traditional banking finance these caravans?
No.
And the answer is no.
Too risky.
That's right, it's too risky. So the only way you can finance these high-risk ventures, like caravans, but no caravan, the people in the oasis will die because they have no salt, they have no spices, you know, so they need to go out and trade. So by nature, the Islamic, the Arab, you know, the adventure, the camel caravanserai were risk takers.
Islamic finance.
Exactly. And Islamic finance is about risk sharing. You win, I win,
Right.
you lose, I lose. But banking is about risk transfer. I lend to you, please give me a collateral or a guarantee. So I don't take risk that much.
Okay.
Okay? You get it?
I get it.
So the key issue then is Islamic finance is about risk sharing, risk taking with ethical values. Because I trust you.
Which is already
So I have faith, and I have
wonderful,
faith, right?
Because Malaysia has really built our name on
Absolutely.
in the field of Islamic finance.
Absolutely. So therefore, we were the first one to enter into Islamic finance. But of course, there are now competition from,
From
you know,
others,
other
yes.
you know, Islamic markets. But ultimately, it's not about finance, which is a derivative of the real economy. You see, money is the other side of an asset, right? This is a piece of paper, but it's really represent, you know, in the old days, gold, right? Gold was represented by a piece of paper, which they call money, right? So the question is, if we were to build the real asset, then the value of the currency will rise.
Okay.
So we must concentrate on the real economy. Finance is to support the real economy. Finance cannot be the master of the real economy, of the real people.
We have a couple minutes left, and I know
Sure.
this is a tough one, but if we were to have a takeaway from the TEAM framework that you've really, you know, put a lot of thought into, what would be that takeaway, Andrew?
That takeaway is a team. We have to do this together. We have to co-share. We have to co-create. And it's not about some people win, a lot of people lose. It is about we must build this together.
The takeaway from the TEAM framework is for us to be a team and do it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's
Okay.
very simple, right? It's not about you're the boss and I'm the worker. We build this together.
Is that realistic, Andrew?
Of course it is. That's why it must be bottom up.
Bottom.
Inclusivity is about bottom up, not about top down. The leader is the one who follows the people. The leader is a steward of the people's collective interest. Okay? Right?
Yes.
So to a large extent, the governance model is already there. But how we practice it is really the key.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your paper, your thoughts, this framework with us today, giving us more insight into it. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's all we have for you on this episode of Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris, signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.